When I tell people I sometimes go on cruises by myself, the first reaction is often surprise. Don't you feel out of place? The truth is, solo cruising can be one of the most rewarding ways to travel. I don't have to pack up every couple of days, and many mornings there's a new port waiting just outside. I can be social when I feel like it or completely independent if that's what the day calls for. But I know that for a first time senior solo cruiser, there's a lot of questions. So if you're over 60 and planning your first cruise, think of this video as your beginner's guide to cruising alone with confidence. I'll share some of my own experiences and I'll try to answer some of the questions I get asked most often. On a cruise, you'll certainly feel pampered. For senior solo travelers, the biggest advantage is that you unpack once and you don't have to move from one hotel to another. Your hotel travels with you. Your luggage stays put while you step off in each new port to explore. Meals are easy. You always know where you can eat, and there's plenty of variety on board. It also feels very secure. You can mingle as much or as little as you like, and you don't need to carry money. Everything goes on your ship card, and you just settle up at the end. For me, that combination of comfort, simplicity, and freedom makes cruising one of the easiest ways to travel solo. Now, most people are far too busy enjoying themselves to notice who is traveling solo. Ships are full of couples, families, groups of friends, and yes, solo travelers. Once you meet a few people over meals, excursions, or activities, you stop thinking of yourself as being alone, and you start thinking of yourself as part of the ship's community. I especially enjoy cruises with plenty of port stops rather than long stretches of sea days. That rhythm of exploring new destinations keeps things interesting and creates natural opportunities to meet people. Cruises give you both chances to be social and a space to step back. I usually ask to join another table in the dining room. You share a meal, trade stories, and then the next day you might see those folks around the ship or in port. It's a very natural way to meet people. On the other hand, I've had mornings when I just wanted a quiet breakfast by myself and then a walk around the deck. Sometimes, even though there's 1,800 other people on this boat, it feels like I'm on my own ship. There are always corners on a ship where you can sit with a book, or you might want to slip into a lecture or a music lounge without feeling like you're missing out. Some cruise lines make a real effort for solo passengers. Personally, I think Holland America is one of the best fits for seniors traveling solo. The demographic skews a little older, which means fewer kids tearing around and more people interested in conversation or shared activities. Norwegian cruise lines have solo lounges and meetups. Princess is another that attracts a slightly older crowd and feels comfortable if you're cruising alone. Now, there's no denying that solo cruising costs more. Cabins are priced for two, and the single supplement can be steep. I've sometimes found it cheaper to take a regular inside cabin with the supplement than to book one of the new solo cabins. Those are usually smaller, and the price difference isn't always in your favor. I've done a separate video where I break down costs and ways to economize without giving up comfort. I'll put a link to that one at the end of this one. Inside cabins are the most affordable, and I've taken plenty of them. They're dark, which actually makes for a good sleep. And if you're the kind of person who's out and about most of the day, well, they work out just fine. But I will admit that having a balcony is a real treat. Being able to step outside with a coffee in the morning or watch the port come into view from your own cabin may be worth it if you can manage it in your budget. Now, here's how one of my days might look if I'm on a solo cruise. Mornings might begin with breakfast and a brisk walk around the deck. One lap could be half a kilometer, so several laps will get your steps in. Then, if it's a port day, a shore excursion, or just exploring the port at my own pace. Afternoons on a sea day could mean lounging by the pool, joining a cooking class, or finding a quiet corner with a book. Evenings would bring dining, shows, or music venues. On one 12-day solo cruise around the UK and Northern Europe, I'd leave my inside cabin around 5:30 p.m., head to a happy hour in the lounge, join others for dinner in the dining room, catch the early show in the theater, and then spend until midnight drifting between the piano bar and other music venues. Solo cruising lets you design your own rhythm. On board, security is solid, and I've never felt unsafe in port either. It's the usual advice: don't wander too far off the beaten track by yourself. Keep valuables locked up in the safe in your room, and trust your instincts. Or you can hook up with others for a shore excursion. On the ship, you don't need to carry cash or credit cards. Everything goes on your ship card. That makes life easier and means you don't have to carry much with you. Many ships arrange solo gatherings early in the cruise. Even if you go only once, you'll recognize some familiar faces afterwards. I've met interesting people by simply showing up at those events or at a shared dinner table. And on evenings that I'd rather have some peace and quiet, well, I'll head to the buffet or grab something small to eat alone. If it's your first time, don't overdo it. I'd suggest 5 to 10 days. That's long enough to feel like you've had a real break, but short enough to see if cruising is really your style. Personally, I'd look for itineraries with plenty of ports rather than long stretches at sea, just because I like exploring new places. River cruises or smaller ships can also be a great introduction, as they feel more personal and less overwhelming. It's another reason why I recommend Holland America. Most of their ships are sort of 2,000 passengers or less, whereas some of the others will have 4 to 5,000 people on the ship. I always travel light, even on cruises. For me, carry on only makes the whole trip simpler, from boarding to disembarking. Most people dress casually. There might be one formal night in the dining room, but I've never thought it was worth bringing a whole extra suitcase for that. Health wise, bring your own regular medications and a bit of Gravol if you're prone to seasickness. I've only been seasick once, but I went outside on one of the upper decks and kept my eyes on the horizon to reestablish my equilibrium, and it was all done within a couple of hours. Midship cabins on lower decks sway a little less, so if you think you might be prone to motion sickness, that'd be a good choice. And keep in mind, ships do have doctors and infirmaries, but make sure that you have proper travel insurance. Your home coverage doesn't extend on board. Shoes matter. Leave those fancy dress shoes at home. Decks can be slippery if it rains, and ships do move a little bit. Sometimes I catch myself weaving back and forth like I've had a martini or two when I haven't. Good sturdy shoes help, and I often take the stairs instead of the elevators for short trips, and sometimes they're carpeted and can be just a little bit slippery. So, will you feel out of place as a solo cruiser? From my experience, not at all. You'll meet people when you want to, retreat when you don't, and enjoy the freedom of traveling entirely on your own terms. For a closer look at the costs and some tips on how to make them manageable, watch the video that I've linked here. And if you're curious about trying your very first cruise, I hope that this has given you both reassurance and encouragement. Safe travels. See you next time.